Nick Saban's return to coaching will be in the Big 12, and when we actually unpack it, here's why it makes sense. This is an emergency Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy emergency, everybody. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. This one is stunning. A new report, at least a rumor from a national source, says Nick Saban could end up at a new Power 4 school in 2025, next season, and they reside in the Big 12. Before you start to put this off, I want to ask you this. Would Nick Saban return to college football for the money? Of course not. Would he return because he loves the transfer portal? No. What about NIL? Does that entice him? Does he love the direction the game is going? Of course he does not. We're agreeing on all of these. But if there's one thing that could get Nick Saban back into the college game, it's the prospect of once again coaching and doing it at home. West Virginia. The Mountaineers will very likely get rid of Neil Brown. There are already rogue sources coming out saying Neil Brown is a dead man walking. The end of the season, Ren Baker and company will make the decision to officially cut him off. And at that point, the search begins. Do you think Nick Saban goes to Florida State? I don't. Do you think that Nick Saban starts shopping jobs around the SEC and say, man, I would love a big challenge? No. And those are big challenges. West Virginia is a big challenge, but the SEC jobs are different. At West Virginia, Saban gets to go to the place where he grew up, the place that he calls home. Fairmont, West Virginia, hometown of Nick Saban, population 18,000. Guy who went and played college football at Kent State. When we really unpack this and we really start to think about the jobs that Nick Saban would turn down, a Florida State, a Notre Dame, a USC, an Oklahoma, a whoever at the top level, and you start to understand the amount of coaches who get out of their big-time job, spend a year out of the game, 2 years out of the game, and realize, I kind of want to go back. Like, we wouldn't be shocked if Bill Belichick comes back to the coaching game. I wouldn't be shocked if Nick Saban comes back to the coaching game at a university where the stress is not near as commanding as it is at an Alabama. He's already got an office in Bryant-Denny. He gets to be one of the advisors there in Tuscaloosa for the University of Alabama and has come out and told fans to be patient with Kalen DeBoer. He still has an arm in college football. And from the people, from the coaches, that's one thing about Nick Saban. Every coach I've interacted with that has worked under Nick Saban, that's like the first question you ask them. What was it like to be in Nick Saban's program? And continually, the answer I've gotten is football guy. Like football above family. In the same way, a couple weeks ago, Tom Brady. Baker Mayfield says of Tom Brady, and I'm going somewhere with this. Baker Mayfield says of Tom Brady, he says, he made the locker room stressful. He made the entire environment in Tampa Bay stressful. Brady's response was, hey, to me, stress is not winning Super Bowls. If I want to have fun, I'll take my kids to Disneyland. That's what fun is. I want to win Super Bowls. Nick Saban's the same way. He's a guy that, look, if I want to have fun, have some family time on the side, sure, but football comes first. And there are coaches who love him and hate him for that. I would not be surprised if a year out, Saban wants a project where he can go back to effectively his roots. Again, small town West Virginia guy, Kent State guy, born in Fairmont to Mary and Nick Lou Saban Sr., who owned us. This is Wikipedia, who owned a small service station, and his father founded and coached a youth football team. Yeah. Small town right outside of Morgantown, West Virginia. The local guy played quarterback on a West Virginia state championship team. And now the opportunity opens up to pull a Mac Brown. Oh, wait a second. Did someone just use a real life example that we're seeing in front of us right now? Yes. And if Nick Saban goes to West Virginia and goes 6-6, 7-5, 6-6, no one's going to care because Nick Saban's the head coach at West Virginia. None of us would care. Does it make sense to you? In your brain, can you conceptualize him being at Florida State and taking on that much of a load? No, I don't think you can. I can't. Can you see him being at a school like a Texas A&M or even another Big 12 school like a Colorado to follow up the Deion Sanders project? I cannot. However, if given the opportunity to go home And as this says, so Pete Bartell of Saturday Blitz is the guy who puts this out here. This is the analyst that says Nick Saban could end up coaching at a Power 4 school in 2025. What he says is it may not even be a head coach role. Saban could end up being an on-field assistant, have a direct impact on something that has to do with this football team. Now, I'm reading a lot of this from voiceofmotown.com, where it says Bartell went on to say, considering Saban has spent the majority of his career in the South as a head coach in the SEC, West Virginia, both geographically and conference-wise, being a member of the Big 12 may seem odd to many. But remember that Saban was born and raised in West Virginia and left the state for the first time when he went to college. That's what does this. That's what pushes the needle. Look, for me, I know, and I weighed this 6 months ago. I had a job opportunity in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Okay, I get to go back home. Like, any time that you've moved states away or you have some semblance of home, I get to be back where my roots are. There's at least an allure there. You at least take a nod at it. And I do believe Nick Saban would do the same for West Virginia. 72 years old. You watch him on College Game Day. The guy just did that nothing speech. He's still got the fire. He's still got the X's and O's. Is it tough to recruit at West Virginia? Yeah. Is NIL easy at West Virginia? No. Is the transfer portal easy at West Virginia? No. Are the players as high maintenance as they would be at Alabama or Florida State or Oregon or Ohio State? Of course, they're not near as high maintenance. You know why? Because they're at West Virginia, who's not on par with Alabama. And I can tell you this. It's a homey place. As someone who grew up in Arkansas, I'm wearing the shirt today in Valonia, Arkansas, can tell you West Virginia is a homey place. I'm cool saying that. Sure, you're cool hearing it. Arkansas is a homey place, but it was a damn good place to come home to. Same thing for Saban here. The pressure's not near as crazy. The kids are not near as crazy or entitled as they would be at Florida. They're not. They're gritty. They're hardworking. They represent a state that is gritty and hardworking. Dude comes from coal mining country. 25 miles from Morgantown. Hey, Nick, come pull a Mac Brown. And even if you don't win a national championship here, hang out for a few years. This can be your retirement job. Be the head coach at West Virginia. Build a staff around you. We won't. You know what? He's not going to do it for the money. We don't have to unload the truck for Nick Saban. Just say, hey, come home. And before I get your first reaction is, they would never do that. You get the perfect offer to come home. Live out your years. Do what you love doing. Continue. I know the guy's itching for college football. You think he's going to sit the next 20 years and be just outside of coaching, just done coaching? I'm not sure if a guy like Nick Saban can do that, especially as abruptly as he retired. Tom Brady tried. He immediately came back. Mac Brown tried. He came back. We see this. It's nothing new. A coach returns after retiring. And if he does it, I don't think it'll be at a splash university. Instead, I think it would be at West Virginia. So all the credit in the world for a national reporter and Peter Bartell for bringing this up and saying Nick Saban. Don't be surprised when Nick Saban is on the sidelines in Morgantown. Saturday Blitz, Peter Bartell. Maybe. If this is the guy that called it, boy, you were on the forefront of something, I'll tell you that. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Oh, I wish there was a betting line on whether or not Nick Saban will be at West Virginia next year. I'd sprinkle a little money on it. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and college football or NFL fans can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, when you get a hunch in the middle of a game. Check out the latest stats, you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet as well. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com. Go there today and, bet on the BYU Cougars this week. That's what I'm going to do. They are +2 right now against the UCF Knights in Orlando. That is FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Visit them today. Nick Saban to West Virginia. Why not? I say, why not? This has been It Always Will Be. You hit subscribe, I could keep my job, by the way, and I'd love to keep my job. Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dos Grande.